What's up, guys? I just made these amazing ribs using the pit barrel cooker. I'm going to show you just how I did it. Alright, so for this cook, I'm going to be using pork spare ribs. So this was a rack of spare ribs, and I already went ahead and trimmed these down to a nice St. Louis cut, as you can see. To get a St. Louis cut from the spare ribs, all you're going to want to do is trim this breastbone off and the extra meat and cartilage that you have going around here. Then just square these off on the edges, and you have yourself some great St. Louis style ribs. These are still spare ribs though, but this is a St. Louis style cut. If you buy spare ribs and trim to St. Louis, make sure to save this cut that you trimmed off the top. You can make some delicious rib tips. It's an awesome appetizer. I have a great video for 2 different recipes if you want to check that out. So you can buy pre-trimmed spare ribs to a St. Louis cut. You don't have to trim it or anything like that. It's a lot easier. You're gonna pay more per pound for that though. Also, when you get the spare rib, it's cheaper and you get this extra meat where you can use it for sausage or, like I said, some awesome rib tips. So I prefer to get my spare ribs whole, trim them down to a St. Louis cut. Be sure to give your ribs a rinse. You're gonna have some bone fragments from them cutting the ribs and whatnot. Then you're gonna wanna pat them dry before you get them seasoned. The big question, to remove or not to remove the membrane. I used to always pull the membrane off, but now I leave it on whenever I'm doing ribs. The reason for that, it's always a pain in the ass to try and get this membrane off. Got to mess around with butter knives and paper towels and stuff. I found just leaving it on is a lot easier, and if you cook them properly, you won't even notice that membrane on there. Another thing I noticed is this membrane seems to hold all this fat in here and makes these ribs extra juicy. And since we're cooking these on the pit barrel cooker, we're gonna have that direct heat right underneath here, so the membrane is gonna be great at protecting our meat. All right, so for these ribs, we're going super simple. Of course, we start with some salt, then go on with some black pepper, and then the last thing, garlic powder. Great combo for anything. Make sure you get all those edges and both sides. So more salt, more of this black pepper, and the garlic powder. So I want to go super simple with this. I want to make sure we get a lot of good smoke flavor on it. That's why I'm just going with salt, pepper, garlic. And now I'm not going to be hanging these. I find with spare ribs, the method I'm going to be using works great. But these are ready. Let's get them on the pit barrel cooker. All right, I got the pit barrel all warmed up. Threw some hickory chunks in there for some added flavor. So we're starting these bones side down. Let's get this rod in, get the lid on, and let these cook. I'm gonna leave these ribs on there for about an hour. I'm looking for the ribs to build up a really nice bark. I want that seasoning to set. That's really what I'm looking for. I'm thinking it's gonna take about an hour. It might take longer. We'll see. All right, so once that seasoning is set up nice on those ribs, I'm gonna start hitting them with a mop sauce. To do that, we're gonna need a sauce. So here's how you make it. It starts with some apple cider vinegar. We're gonna add some lemon juice. This is juice from 1 whole lemon. Try and keep the seeds out. I'm gonna add some sugar, a couple tablespoons, some garlic powder, good amount of black pepper. I'm making this peppery vinegar sauce. You're gonna want a lot of black pepper in there. It's gonna have a little bit of a kick to it. So I'm adding some jalapeno powder. Be a nice little spicy, tangy sauce here. And some crushed red pepper flakes. And the last thing, some paprika. Just give it a nice red color. That's it. Then we'll mix it up. That is our mop sauce. That's a super simple mop sauce that's gonna go great on these spare ribs. Got some heat to it, and the tang between the vinegar and the lemon, it's just phenomenal. This goes great on all sorts of things, so I would highly suggest giving this stuff a try. It's just a really nice, thin, peppery vinegar sauce. Great to have in the fridge for anyone who's barbecuing. But these ribs have been on for a while, and I think they're ready for the sauce, so let's go give them a check. All right. So these have been on for 1 hour and the seasoning is set. We are ready for our mop sauce. Let's go ahead and get this mop sauce on here. You don't want to rub it on too much and lose any of that seasoning. Kind of plop it down. Man, these things smell great. They look phenomenal. Now we're going to take them, flip them over, and we're going to mop this backside. All right, that's it. Get the rod back in, lid on, let these things go. So those ribs are coming along great. So before I go any further, I just want to say thanks for watching, and I really hope you're enjoying this video. If you do, please give it a like. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. You're not going to want to miss out on any of my new videos. I got a new video coming out every week. If you have any questions or suggestions, just leave them down in the comments below. I will get back to you as soon as I can. More importantly, let's get back to these ribs. You saw them out there. They look fantastic. That seasoning set up perfectly. Threw the mop sauce on there. We flipped them over, mopped the backside. So here's what you need to do with these ribs. I'm gonna repeat that mopping and flipping process every 30 minutes. That's the key to this. I'm gonna be checking them with my thermometer probe, but I don't care about temperature. I'm just checking for tenderness. If you're new to cooking ribs, it's gonna be tough for you to tell when they're finished. You just want something that's feeling like butter. It'll go through like nothing. It's just gonna take some time and experience with checking ribs to know when they're done for you. All right, so I'll see you when they get to the tenderness that I'm looking for. So quick check in on the ribs. 3 hours in on these ribs. I just flipped them and sauced them, and they're looking pretty good. Get a nice glaze on there. So I checked for tenderness. They're not really where I want them yet. I really like the color we got on the top here, so I don't really want to flip them over anymore. I'm probably gonna let them go for another hour. I'll see you when these are finished. So these ribs are almost done. I just want to wrap them up in some tin foil and let them go on the pit barrel for another hour just to make sure they're super tender. Let me get the ribs and we'll wrap them up in this foil. All right, here's these ribs. Check them out. They look fantastic. They smell awesome. I'm getting a lot of that mop sauce smell. Check them out. These are looking good. They're almost there. They're super tender, but they just need a little bit longer to get them to that perfect tenderness. That's why I'm gonna throw them on this tin foil and get them wrapped. These are just gonna benefit so great with being wrapped for just another hour. All right, there we go. See you when I'm ready to slice into these. I wrapped these ribs up in some tin foil. I let them go on the pit barrel cooker for another hour. I took them off and let them rest for 1 more hour. So they were on there for a total cook time of 6 hours. To recap, I did 1 hour, let the seasoning set. Then I started using that mop sauce we made. I mopped them and flipped them every half an hour for the next 2.5 hours. Then I flipped them over. I let them just go bone side down for another hour and a half. Then I wrapped them up, left them on there for another hour, and they were good to go. Let's unwrap these and see how they came out. I'm super excited. They smell awesome. There we go. Absolutely amazing. Let's get these sliced up because I want to give them a try. What I like to do is flip these over when I cut them. And that is because you can easily see the bones, so you can get some nice cuts out of it. So here we go. All right. Ooh, I'm excited about this. There we go. You want to see a rib? Are you ready for this? Check it out. Got a nice smoke ring on there. Nice, juicy, tender rib. I got to give this a try. Wow, such a good rib. Super porky because we just put a basic seasoning on there, but all that flavor comes from that mop sauce we put on. And check out that bite. Look at that. Tenderness on here is absolutely perfect. And again, so that membrane on there, check this out. Can't even tell it's there. I'm telling you guys, just leave that membrane on. You won't even notice. It makes the ribs super juicy. This is such a perfect rib. You get such a unique flavor from using the pit barrel cooker that you won't get any other way. Something different about this because the juices from this rib just drip down right onto the hot coals. And that flavor adds something special to these ribs. I tell you what, they're so good. Wow, these are so good. You guys got to give these a try. Thank you for watching the channel. Till next time, get out there, smoke something good.